Welcome to a brand new episode of CNB. I am Siddharth Vinayak Patankar. Yes, you can believe it's me now, and this comes off just temporarily so I can tell you about this gorgeous new car that's just driven in. It is the new generation of the BMW X6. Yes, it's been around for a few months now in other markets, but we've finally got it here on Indian soil. And guess what? We've got it first and exclusive for you here on CNB. So I'm not going to talk too much. Let's get straight into the absolutely exclusive review of this monster. The third generation of the BMW X6 is like a burst of fresh air blowing in all too familiarly from Spartanburg, South Carolina, USA. Why do I say that? Well, because that's where the car is made, but when you also compare it to its predecessor, the new car is miles apart. And yet the familiarity comes from the kind of performance, build and interiors the recent launches from BMW have got us used to. This is the absolute beast in the company's lineup. The car is wider, a tad shorter and has a longer wheelbase than the second generation did. It also has a front grille that might eat you and your neighbor Mr. Sharma for lunch if you're not looking. And by the way, it also gives you BMW's first ever illuminated grille, an optional extra that could be the perfect show-off party trick to impress your friends and family. Yes, now I have all of Delhi NCR and Punjab's attention. The grille's glow feature is reserved just for the X6 for now. You can either have it light up all the time when the headlights are on, or just when you unlock or lock the car. Now, BMW is the one that started off all of these coupe SUVs, and I say that with disdain because I think many of you know, not a fan of the body style, but I am going to say this. Of all the three generations of this car so far, this has got to be the most good looking. And dare I say, it's pretty. I like the way it looks. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's proportionate, it's stylish, and especially at the back here, I think it really has its own distinct personality. Taillight treatment, kind of like what you're seeing on the sports cars from BMW these days, so I like that. And the proportions work. It doesn't just look like an X5 with its roof lopped off. It looks really like it has a nice stance, looks muscular too, and very powerful and energetic. Now, I'm surprising and shocking myself as I say this. Continuing in that vein then, all those proportions seem to tie in beautifully to that giant front grille. You know, this is the first new model from BMW where we aren't focusing on that grille, because from word go, it doesn't bother me. I think it really looks nice. It's almost in keeping with the stance and size of this vehicle. The finish is really nice. Sporty Eye that I have with me looks great. This color, beautiful. Yes, on looks, the X6 rocks. Yes, I am shocked at myself. Or, considering the times we live in anyway, the world has truly gone on its head. Optional laser light headlamps, that big sporty bumper, the roofline, the overall proportions like I said, build quality, tailgate lip, the chrome-tipped exhaust pipes, the tail lights, and this riverside blue paint job. Oh yes, please. Oh, and before you get confused, there are 12 paint finishes to choose from, including something called a metrin. Now that's the same purpley maroon shade that I drove the X6M in a few days ago. So yes, that is what I wanted to quickly segue in and out of. My last BMW drive was indeed the X5 and X6M competition twins. So I've spent time with an X6 before, only a much more powerful one. Now the new X6 has been offered in India with a 3-litre inline-6 petrol engine, and even though it's not the range-topping V8 on the M50i, it is still plenty powerful. The
car is agile, powerful, and altogether fun. Needless to say, the X-Drive or all-wheel drive is standard. While the last X6 was also nice to drive, this one is just a whole lot sharper. It is the handling and cornering that have just soared to new heights. It also does not feel as big or heavy as it really is, and that's a hat tip to the engineering. Overall, it's really sporty.
So BMW is pretty much decided for now, with a lot of its CBUs, in any case you've seen this, petrol only. In case there is a demand, because there's a shift that's been happening now for a while, and which is why they've sort of opted not to bring in the diesel. But you do have, of course, a nice powerful diesel in this car, and if required, it could be brought in. Maybe then subsequently that could also be locally assembled. But for now, it's this car that's coming in. It's just that one engine, and it's an engine we know well.
The familiar motor has served well on several BMW models. The 335 bhp setup is not its highest tuned output, but does well on this car. Peak torque has a nice wide band, and it shows in the way that the engine responds.
The 3 litre is really responsive. It's also really agile, and it's like I said, it's an engine we've seen on other cars too from BMW, so we know it well. The gearbox married to it beautifully, and throw in the fact that you also have the twin axle adaptive air suspension, and then you're really talking, because in terms of dynamics it really adds a lot of sportiness to it when you want it to be like that, and it also gives you a lot of comfort. So ride quality is fantastic.
And that's the good news, especially for Indian buyers. Do note though that the adaptive 2-axle air suspension is standard only on the X-Line trim, but it's optional on the M Sport. What will attract you is how quickly the car accelerates and even gets to triple-digit speeds. The ride does feel a tad stiff at those higher speeds, but will still be extremely comfortable, yes, even in the back. The new X6 xDrive 40i has a top speed limited to 250 km per hour, and it does 0 to 100 km per hour in 5.5 seconds. The X6 gets the Eco Pro, Comfort, Sport and Adaptive drive modes. The adaptive mode is pretty intuitive, and I enjoyed staying in that for a good blend of agility and comfort. The car also has electronic stability control, ABS or anti-lock braking, dynamic traction control, cornering brake control, and other driver aids like even the parking assist, all as standard. The 6 airbags and ISOFIX child seat mounts are also standard. An optional extra though is the panoramic glass roof with the Sky Lounge ambient light feature. Now remember, the xDrive 40i is available in the X-Line and M Sport trims. The one with me is the M Sport.
Now, despite me wanting to spend all my time only in the driver's seat, I get it. At 95 lakh rupees, a lot of buyers are going to spend time back here. And so, yes, in keeping with that, let me reassure you that comfort here is not a problem. Despite the sloping, dropping roofline, things down here are great. You've got a nice sense of space. You've actually got great headroom and nice back angle, good seats. And I don't have to tell you this, but of course at this end of the market, fit and finish is excellent. It's impeccably done. On both the X-Line and this one, you'll find that there are of course some options to choose from, but more or less you will get everything at its absolute premium. You can throw in of course some optional things extra, like a screen back here for entertainment, but in terms of comfort and sense of space, no complaints.
Now, of course, if you want a better sense of space, you can get the X5 or shell out even more and get the X7. The boot space is pretty good at 580 litres. Fold down the 20-40-40 split seats in the rear and you can go up to 1530 litres. optional equipment also includes the ambient air package and head-up display, besides the soft touch door closing function. The Harman Kardon sound system and those screens that I talked about that come with the rear seat entertainment package are also optional. As I already mentioned, the new BMW X6 is priced at 95 lakh rupees. The same price applies to both trims because they have different configurations of some of their equipment and features. And I have to say, overall, that seems way better positioned than the rivals, existing and upcoming, and that's cars like the Audi Q8, the Porsche Cayenne Coupe, and the Mercedes-Benz GLE Coupe.
So that's our look at the absolutely new BMW X6. Please react to that review, and of course we've got our Hyundai Creta review finally coming up for you on the other side of a short break. Keep watching. Welcome back. Now, here at CNB, we've been almost overcautious. Erring on the side of caution is not a bad thing given the current environment. I advise all of you do the same, and which is why we've really taken our time before we stepped out to really bring you anything that we shot afresh. Yes, this car has been sanitized, and the same is absolutely true for the Hyundai Creta. We took our time bringing you this review because we wanted to do it correctly and comprehensively. And so I know many of you have waited for the car and bike review of the new generation Creta. King Shuk drove the car. Here it is.
With the rather unkind coronavirus pandemic throwing up best laid plans to waste, it was time to bounce back. And what better car, rather SUV, to get things started again than the new generation Hyundai Creta. We drove the new Creta and can confidently say that there's a world of a difference between this and its predecessor.
The new Creta was the best-selling car. Yes, not the best-selling SUV, but the best-selling car in the month of May 2020. And it speaks volumes about the popularity of the Creta, old and new. So finally, we have the new generation Creta with us. Yes, and this is a tough time for all of us with the whole coronavirus situation. But all we can do is get back to things, make life normal, of course being very, very careful while doing so. So we finally get to spend some time with the new generation Creta, and it was a tough ask for Hyundai to make a good SUV even better. So have they accomplished that? Let's find out. Can't wait to begin.
On looks, the car is miles away from its predecessor, which had cracked the code for having the proportions and elements of a quintessential SUV.
Different people will have different opinion about the design of the new generation Creta. It isn't as elegant as the one on the previous model. For example, the large cascading grille, the split headlamp and the tri-beam projector lamp, all these elements together make for a very busy design at the front. But a lot of it is nullified by the presence of these nice muscular creases on the bonnet and on the fender, especially the wheel arches. These put together make for a solid sporty muscular stance. So this car, this SUV, definitely has a lot of road presence.
Viewed in profile, the silver accent on the roofline masks the sporty stance and makes the car look smaller than it is. That is not standard though, don't worry. The roof rails do bring in some of that SUV stance though. At the rear, the SUV's design is kind of weird looking. The tailgate proportion is strange and it makes it appear like a hatchback from afar. The split tail lamp and the curve on the lip don't add to the looks either. But the twin tailpipes, particular on the 1.4T GDI variant, definitely looks cool.
So in typical Hyundai fashion, the new generation Creta has a bucket load of features. A full-size panoramic sunroof, a brand new 10.25-inch touchscreen infotainment system that gets Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and Hyundai's BlueLink connected technology. Apart from that, you have a wireless charging facility, 2 USB ports, a rather cool looking flat bottom steering wheel, and talking about the sporty quotient, this all black color scheme is particular to the 1.4 litre turbo petrol model, and these splashes of red here and there, they really add to the premium feel. And talking about the materials themselves, you have a lot of nice premium plastics, but to keep the premium feel consistent, Hyundai could have used soft plastics here and there. Overall, the cabin is comfortable, it is cozy and a good place to be in.
Other features include window shades for the rear passengers and the rear AC vents as well, along with a small display on the handrest to control the air purifier in the Creta, which is offered only on the SX and the SXO trims. In terms of safety, the top spec model of the new Creta comes with 6 airbags, rear parking sensors, reverse camera, anti-lock brakes or ABS, traction control, stability control and disc brakes all around. The base and the mid-level trims get 2 airbags, ABS, rear parking sensors and disc brakes only on the front wheels as standard safety equipment. It is apparent that Hyundai has worked a lot on the comfort of the new Creta. Built on a new platform, the new Creta is bigger in dimensions and offers more space at the rear. The headrests are comfortable too and the seats offer good support. There is enough headroom too, although the panoramic sunroof may eat into some of the space there. Up front, the ergonomics are on point. At 433 litres, the boot space is lower than on the previous model by 42 litres. But it is enough to gobble up a few days worth of luggage. As far as ride quality is concerned, well, the new Creta has it covered. The suspension is plush and the rear doesn't bounce like it used to over bumps and potholes on the older car. The new Creta feels more sure-footed and doesn't squeal when pushed a little out of its comfort zone. The new Creta gets the same engine and transmission options as its cousin, the Kia Seltos. There's a 1.5 litre petrol, a 1.5 litre diesel and the range-topping 1.4 litre turbo petrol on offer. We are testing that very new engine today. The engine makes a maximum of 138 brake horsepower, coming in fully at 6000 rpm, while the peak torque output is rated at 242 Nm, coming in between 1500 to 3200 rpm. This particular engine gets a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox.
The 1.4 litre turbo petrol engine on the Creta, it has oodles of grunt in the mid-range and the top end, but the bottom end feels a little lacking. The surge of torque is not quite there, and even the gearbox, the 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox, it feels a little hesitant, little slow at low speeds. But once you build up speed, the performance levels out and makes for fun and enjoyable driving experience. And should you want to extract the maximum from the gearbox, you have paddle shifters on a Hyundai Creta. That is a segment first feature. The other surprise is the steering. It feels nicely weighted and has a solid feel to it. But the feedback is a little lacking. The feedback would have been slightly better. If you're not complaining, compared to the old model, this one feels miles ahead.
With disc brakes all around and ABS that is tuned better, the new Creta offers more confidence when going hard on the brakes. The 2020 Creta comes with 3 drive modes, which are Eco, Comfort and Sport. They work as advertised. We suggest you toggle between the Eco and Comfort mode in the city and leave Sport for the highway, where the gearbox holds on to the gears longer and makes overtaking a breeze. Additionally, the SUV also gets traction modes, which are snow, sand and mud. But it doesn't have an all-wheel drive or a 4-wheel drive variant. The prices of the new generation Creta start at 9,99,000 rupees for the base petrol variant and go up to 17,20,000 rupees for the top spec turbo petrol and diesel automatic variants. In comparison, the prices of the Kia Seltos range starts at 9,89,000 rupees for the base HTE petrol variant and goes up to 16,39,000 rupees for the top spec turbo petrol and diesel GTX Plus variants.
If there's one thing that Hyundai is adept at, that is offering a feature-rich car. That's Hyundai playing to its strengths. The new generation Creta is no different. With many class-leading features, it is a comfortable, practical car that offers a very decent driving experience. Sure, it is not an out-and-out driver's car, but has taken its game several notches higher, even with all these strong rivals popping up with unsurprising regularity.
And that then is a wrap, boys and girls. I hope you liked our exclusive review of the BMW X6, also our review of the Creta. Please react to that. Any suggestions or anything else, you can reach me at Sid Partnkar on Twitter. Remember, all of these reviews and all this information, the big news, it's always on carandbike.com. And if you are going to step out, please remember, wear your masks, carry your sanitizer, and please wear your helmets or your seatbelts if you are stepping out. Please take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.